just, yeah, okay. So just a couple of, let me say a couple of words. Um, for those of you who don't know who Artur is one of the members of the Gretl development team, and for some reason he insists on using weird software. But being being a youngster, I mean, we forgive him, and so and one would think that the Gretl uh, internal editor is the best possible editor for editing Gretl scripts, and it probably is, with the possible only exception of Emacs. But instead, Artur insisted on, showing us what he can do with this newfangled thing that he's been using all along, and we just said, okay, go on, show us. So, so Artur, the floor is to you.
Yeah, thank you very much for the kind introduction. Yeah, so as Jack already said, this is not about economics, econometrics, or statistics, but on a Gretl conference, rather about tooling or about a ecosystem, Gretl's ecosystem of tools. When I switched from academia to the private business sector 2.5 years ago, I came in contact with software developers and other data scientists, and they used all those fancy IDEs, so integrated development environments like IntelliJ, PyCharm, and Visual Studio Code, and whatever you can use there. And I thought, okay, this is really cool. It looks really cool, and it has so many useful features. And over time, I realized that I definitely need something like this too in my daily work, handling large projects. So I decided to write a package which is named Hansel Gretl language package for the Sublime editor. And I'm gonna introduce the Sublime editor briefly, gonna show the features of the package, and give you a brief live session too, hopefully to convince you that for some of your maybe larger project that might be useful for you too. Before I proceed, I have to show this disclaimer thing. So the opinions expressed by me here are solely those of me, and not necessarily those of the Otto GmbH and Co. AG where I work. By the way, it's a very large e-commerce retailer, actually the second largest one behind Amazon in Europe. Okay, so the motivation is the following. So on a daily basis, I have to work with multiple tools and languages, including Gretl. So for instance, I have to work with SQL, with Python scripts, with shell scripts, and so on. And projects are usually quite large. So for instance, you have a project here on the right side, you see the directory structure, a typical one, or an outtake of it. So you have a large project, then you have a directory which is called Gretl. Below you have several directories for configuration files, for data, for scripts, for source files, for SQLs, for the output. And then there's, for instance, another Python folder with several subfolders and so on. And of course, how you manage it, usually you have a file manager. But then you have to switch between your editor for Gretl and another editor for Python and your file explorer, and you don't want to do this. You want to have a single window where you can do everything. At least what I need are the following features. I need to have a go-to functionality, means jump to a function definition, jump to function references. I want to have to find and replace on a global scope, on a local scope, meaning find and replace things in a local file, but also find and replace certain keywords globally in the whole project. I want to create, delete, and rename files and folders. I also need a project management, so managing all those. I hear some echoing now. somebody has switched on his mic or her mic. Yeah, it's
Hang
off
on.
now.
Yeah, but okay, I'm gonna mute everybody and you can unmute yourself, okay,
Oh,
Artur?
hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, you should hear me now again.
Yeah.
And very important is window tiling. And so I want to adapt windows the way I find it most productive. And of course, I need an integrated terminal and also want to have support for Git functionality. And I also want to execute or I want to have build systems with language supports for different languages, including Gretl. Very helpful are, of course, when you have a large code base, is code completion for saving time and also having so-called snippets. I'm going to show snippets later, which are code fragments, which you can program yourself and which you may use frequently. And of course, at some point in time, you want to discard the keyboard and the mouse and rather use the keyboard to increase productivity too. And another thing is you want to have a eye relaxing environment, changing themes, colors, maybe over the day or conditional on your mood, something like this. Okay. So I was looking, or the decision for the Sublime editor at the end of the day was really the answer to the question, where is it easiest to implement an own syntax support? And so I had a look for several IDEs. The market is full of both closed and open source IDEs, which you can see on the right. But for the Sublime editor, I found it easiest, and I also found most templates for other languages as a starting point, and also the documentation is really good. And for language support, Sublime is using the language server protocol, which is widely used also by other editors. So in principle, one could think also add Gretl handle support for other editors at some time. So that is the editor. If you open it, you think it's just a simple editor. At the very beginning, it is really a simple editor. But after a few keystrokes and after a few packages which exist for it, you come up with something like this. Here on the left side, you see a sidebar given the project structure. So you have all the folders here, and you have the files here. Then you see I have window tiled, so multiple windows arranged the way I like it. Here in the first main window, you can see also tabs, so I can switch between different files within the first window. Here's an SQL file. You see also automatic syntax highlighting for SQLs. Here on the right side, you see an IMP file is opened, so that's a Gretl file. Which is there. Then you also see this nice mini map and a ruler showing you here the width. And here on the right bottom, you see also a terminal. And as you can see, here's some more information here at the right bottom. It's saying SQL, so there's just
Sorry,
SQLs.
Artur.
Yeah.
As you can see, is a bit of
Yeah. Okay.
wishful
Okay.
thinking
Yeah.
exercise.
It's good that you're mentioning this. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I mean, as we could probably see if you're evil.
Okay, I'm gonna show it you later then. Anyway,
Okay.
yeah, okay, that is how it looks like. Some very basic information on the Sublime editor. So it's a very lightweight cross-platform editor existing for several OS. And it's really just an editor, but the add-ons existing make it a proper IDE. So for Sublime, there exists a so-called package control.io site, which is actually the package repository. And from there, you can explore several packages and also install them. And the Sublime editor allows you to customize anything. And if I write anything, I really mean anything. So you can even switch off a blinking mouse cursor if you want to. It really, there is no limit. You have go-to features and which work reasonable out of box for Gretl functions, which is really great. And it is a well-established top editor. And Sublime version 4 has just been published with some new nice features too. and you find a lot of support on the web, but it's not free. However, one has a free and indefinite preview without any functional limitations. So from time to time, there is some box shows up and asks you whether you want to buy the license now, but you can always skip it by pressing escape, and that's it. Yeah, but this is what one has to keep in mind. Okay, the Hansel Gretl language package. It's an official Sublime package registered on package control, and it adds the following support for the Gretl scripting language Hansel. So you have syntax highlighting, you have code completions for newly for accesses, for commands, and forthcoming very soon also for functions. And you have so-called snippets. I'm going to tell you what snippets are in a bit. And there is support for Gretl build systems. So you can execute Gretl in the batch mode or in the client or REPL mode. The current version is 0.2.4. The code can be found on my GitHub repository, and the function package can be found here. And it's very simple to install it via Sublime's package control system, as I'm going to show later. Okay, what is the REPL? So as said, you can execute Gretl scripts in two modes, either as a batch mode or in a REPL mode. The REPL mode means, so there is a REPL refers to the read eval print loop. So you execute a Hansel script or Gretl script, and it switches to the client mode so that you can proceed executing other statements if you want to. Yeah. So on the right here, you see the output. So first I executed this REPL example imp, the Gretl script, and then it opens a new tab with the output. And then you can continue to type in something like print data set or something like this. Yeah. Okay. What are snippets? Snippets are one of the major features I really love. So snippets are smart templates that will insert text for you and adapt it to their context. They're very simple to program on yourself, just a few lines of code, and then you can program your own snippet. I'm going to show a snippet later. And the Hansel Gretl language package ships various snippets for you already. So I'm going to show some examples later. Yeah. Here's an example. Let me skip this for the moment. So if somebody is interested on how to write such a snippet, I can show it. Plotting also works. So you can execute some plot command in Gretl, and the plot appears instantaneously. Yeah. Which is very nice. But however, in contrast to Gretl's editor, you cannot manipulate this plot afterwards. So this is not supported. Okay, another maybe nice feature is parallel execution of Gretl jobs. So let's say you have a Gretl script, and there's a parameter A, and which can take various values, and then do the following. I mean, set A, for instance, to run, execute the script, a new tab will open with a new Gretl instance, which is running in the background, maybe several minutes. Let's go back to the script, change the parameter to another value, execute the script, and another Gretl script or instance will start in the background, and not without affecting the first one. So you can very easily start several instances. Yeah, so it's a poor man's parallel execution version. Okay, there are some known issues and missings, of course, still. That's why the version number is so low. The syntax highlighting is far from being perfect. So there are some edge cases where Hansel support or syntax support for Hansel is not perfect. It's usable, but not perfect. It's just a question of regex knowledge. So if there is somebody who wants to help me with this, please contact me. Auto indentation is not supported yet, but I found just recently how to implement this, and actually it shouldn't be too complicated. And auto completions of functions still lag. Also, some auto completions for commands are not finished yet, given that we have so many commands. And of course, this needs to be programmed up here in the package, but this will change soon. There is a wish list. I'm not sure I can realize it with the Sublime editor, and that is in Gretl, we know we have the so-called icon view, which shows you created, which lists you created objects like bundles, scalar values, matrices, and you can just click on them, and you immediately see what is a memory going on. For Sublime, this does not really exist. At least I haven't seen it. I would like to have it similar to Microsoft's open source VS Code editor, where you have for Python and Julia a so-called variable explorer and data viewer. That would be cool. Maybe there's a way. I haven't figured out how to do it yet in Sublime. Okay, let's do a brief live session. Let me switch the screen here. I have, so just a second. So this is the Sublime editor. You should see it, right? Hopefully, yeah. So what I'm gonna do here, I add a new project. And so I have come up with a folder. Let me just open it. So I define a new project, and the root folder is called live session empty. And there are two subfolders, a source and a script. Let me open the execute script, and so this is the first file. Also, actually, let me also open the. Oh, sorry. Let me also. Sorry, was my fault. So with a single or with two keystrokes, I now move the helper IMP to the left side, as you can see. I can switch between the windows very easily. Okay, the first question is how to install the package. And what you can do is you just press Control-Shift-P, and then you can look for install, and then you have this option package control install package. Let's start this. So it contacts the server now, and then you can look for several for a certain package. Let's type Hansel. The problem is Hansel, the Hansel Gretl package is already installed. That's the reason why it does not appear here. But as you can see, I can type in Python, and then it lists several Python supported packages. And as said, if you type in Gretl here, it would, in your case, if you haven't already installed the package, show also the Hansel Gretl language package. But in my case, it's already installed. Yeah, okay, good. Let's skip this. So this is a very simple script. And let me just, sorry, yeah. And maybe we start with the following. So usually I start writing a clear command at the top of the script, of my script. And as you see, I started to type, and then something shows up. There is this green tag. S refers to a snippet. Actually, it's a command here in this case, but nevertheless, and you see an annotation or description, clear the current data set, etc. from memory. And then here below, you see also some options related to this command. I can click here, and it opens the command. And it auto-completes. So let me do another thing. Usually, apart from clear, I also write another line, set verbose, and then I have an open command. I'm too lazy to do all these steps. The good thing is the package comes with a snippet which is called clear open. And let me execute this. As you see, I just press tab and it auto-completes. It puts clear there, set verbose off, and then it puts the third line open with some option, quiet and preserve. And you see the file name is highlighted. I just can write some file name. Let's say Denmark GDT, which is a built-in data set, which comes with Gretl. Another tab, oh, sorry, that was my fault. And then you can also put some options here if you want to, but you don't need to. So that was this was showing some snippet. Okay, let's continue here. let's say, for instance, I want to just summarize the data set. So I start writing summary, and again, how do you say? It suggests you, it gives you some suggestions. Let's take summary, press enter, and we can, to complete this, yeah, just press enter. Okay, let's execute the small script. Executing the script is simple. I just press Control B, which is some key binding. And here it comes, the output comes, right? So just to another tab, I can put it here, and here's my outcome. And that's what I mean before. I can also, the client has opened, so the REBL, let's say, or Gretl client has opened afterwards, and I can proceed, for instance, by printing something. Okay, but of course, that's not all we want to do. Let's do something more. Let's say we want to plot some series. So let's start. So usually we start plot, then maybe we put some options, and yeah, so you see, it's very time consuming to write everything. A much nicer way is make use of the snippet which comes with the package. So when I type plot, the first auto suggestion here is a snippet called plot block. Which is Gretl plot block. Let's execute this snippet, and it puts all the lines here. Yeah, and it puts the cursor just here. We can start here. Another tab, it puts the cursor just here. We can start typing in some options, something like with lines, for instance. Let's press tab again. It puts you here to output. My output is display because I want to plot it directly on the display. Let's execute this. Here's the plot. Yeah, and as I said, another instance is opening, so it's not using the instance before as it works in Gretl. So it's a bit different here, but this may change in future. Okay, I said I have support for other keywords too. So for instance, a very new thing is, let's say you want to have COEF after some OLS regression, you wanna access the coefficient vector. So let's type in COEF, and as you see, there is now a new tag, this V, which stands for variable, and the description is coefficient matrix. So if I autocomplete this, the result is the following: it puts the dollar accessor and autocompletes this variable. So, and we have support now for several variables or accesses too here in the package. Yeah. Okay. Another nice thing is maybe the following. Yeah, is the following. Let's say I have a variable which takes the value true, and I have another one which takes the value false. And then I start at some point in the script, I start writing X is space, and then it auto suggests you true first, because it saw last time, or most of the time, true. When X is called, it is associated or linked to true. Yeah, so this is some auto suggestion is in scope. Another nice thing is also, let's say I have some other variable which is called some weird name, and I put some arbitrary value. I don't know, false. It doesn't it's not important. And then I go to another file. So I switch from execute to helper, which is just another file, and I start writing sum. And you can see, given that the whole project is indexed, it suggests you maybe you want to write actually some weird name, some variable which was defined, or just some string which was used in another file, and you can autocomplete. So everything is linked up, and which is very helpful, of course. Okay, that's nice. I think. Okay, let's do the following too. Let's show you another very handy snippet. So let's write a function here. And let's call the function print summary. And usually you start with something like this. And then maybe usually I put some description here, put description here. Yeah, and of course that is very, and then this function is supposed to do just, oh, sorry for not closing this, to do a very simple thing, and then you type this. Okay, typing this is just a lot of boilerplate code and takes time. Let's take it. There's a very nice snippet which is called function, and which does the following. Let me just click or activate the snippet, and it puts the following 8 lines for you. It puts the cursor to type. It puts the next curve after pressing tab to name. We call it print, summary. Another tab puts you here, series, oh sorry, list L. Another tab puts you here to the description, put it here. Another tab puts it here to the return value. So everything, oh, nothing, actually it's void, nothing. So it's very standardized. And you don't have to bother about these things, you know. That is very handy, I think. And if in case you have a return type, you do it here. We don't have a return type here, so let's do it. Yeah? So I go here, I switch to my execution script, and now I want to call it. And given that things are indexed, this function already appears here. And what it still lacks is it does not put the parentheses here, but this should be possible soon too. Oh, sorry, let me correct the function here. Put a lim, just want to have a list called L here actually. Sorry, it was my fault. So yeah, let's say I have a yeah, and then I can finish my function call, let's say. So that is what I wanted to show here. I think that's very handy. Okay. The available snippets which come with this package can be searched again very easily by Control Shift P, and then you type in snippet, and you can see several snippets appear here, which are supported now, given that I'm using this Hansel Gretl package. They appear here. You can just click and yeah, and open create some snippet. Very useful are also loop snippets for while index for each loops, whatever you want. Let's call the loop for each snippet. Just press tab and it puts you here. Yeah, for each I, let's say some list L body, I don't know, do something with it. Yeah, whatever you want to do. So very handy too. That is what I wanted to show. Yeah, another very nice feature is, let's say you are here here's the function call, print summary, and actually you want to know, what are actually, how does this function look like? Let's go into this function. Usually you have to search, oh man, where is this function defined in my project? I have no idea. Using go-to functionality, you put your cursor here, press F12, and it opens it just opens the helper.imp file where this function is defined, and you are here. That's it. And it shows you the function. So this is a go-to, how's it called? A go-to definition functionality you have. Very handy in complex projects, if you want to just see what are the arguments I can put here actually, and does it the right thing, whatever. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What else I wanted to show?
Can I interrupt just a second, Artur? In the right-hand script there, what are those dots and the sort of circles?
And second, no, here, sorry, yeah, that is a good point. That is, I think, just a second, annotation put it. Actually,
it
I have to
like the start and the end of the comment, and it's sort of a block thing.
Yeah, might be. I'm a bit. Yeah, actually, usually you see some Git functionality here, but this is not a Gitterized directory, so I'm not sure about this, I have to say. Yeah, cannot answer this at the moment. Yeah. Okay, so as said, usually Git works too. So it has support for Git. Maybe I can show it later if wanted. Yeah, the very nice thing is also this. There's this package called Origami, which is for window tiling. So, for instance, a setup I have very often is I switch several windows. This is my usual outline. So with some keystrokes, you can also, I think, duplicate things. So helper.py got duplicated. It's on the left and on the right side now. You can close them and you can move those tabs from one window tile or window to the other ones, as whatever you want to do. You can open, oh, sorry, that is not what I wanted to do. I wanted to open another window here. So you are really flexible in whatever you want to do. Very helpful for most of my applications. Yeah, so another nice feature is let's open here a terminal. So I have a terminal here. You can arrange the window size, so that's all supported too. You can close the sidebar if you want to have some space. You can go into the Zen mode pressing F11, so nothing disturbs you apart from your IDE. So a lot of features. So really just a few of the features which are there. Very nice feature too. I just discovered is you have the so-called. Let's say you have a to-do somewhere, and you write something in the to-do, and here you have some fix me. You need to fix something, and at some point in time you have several files where you have put some to-dos and fix me, but you don't know where again. Do the following. There's some package which is called to-do review. I execute it. To-do review open files, and it opens a new file telling you where's the fix me, where to do, and what have you written in fix me. That's what you've written there in line 9 of helper IMP. There's a fix me here in execute line 31. There's another to do. Let's switch there. So very easy, very handy too. Okay, so yeah, you can also set some things things which you want to really set. Very often are so-called key maps or key bindings. So they, on the left side you see all key bindings which exist, a very long list. This has to do with the fact you can really let's say manipulate or customize everything you want. On the right side are my default user-defined keystrokes which I use, so this can be set too. You can also set further things like, for instance, for autocorrection, don't consider those terms, ignore certain words, put a ruler here at those definitions, define tab size. You want to trim trailing white spaces on save, yes or not. You want to auto intent things. You can set really everything. Yeah, the help is very useful for this. Okay, actually, I think that's it from my side. So yeah, yeah, that's it actually.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Artur. This was actually less painful than I thought it would.
Shall I stop sharing or?
I can do that.
Yeah.
I can do that. Okay. All right. So, people, is there anybody who wants to say something? I've got Martin with a raised hand. Martin, you can also use the raised hand thing that you have in Zoom, like Alan is doing now. So we got Martin, Alan. I want to say something too. And okay, so let's begin. Okay, Martin, you're first.
Oh.
No. That was no. It was invented by Alan. Alan thought of it.
I made the suggestion to adopt a name, but I didn't invent the name itself.
No, that was Alan's idea. Okay.
Alan has some questions.
Do you have anything else, Martin? Oh, no, okay, good. Alan.
Just a brief comment, but okay. I mean, the editor one has used for years. It's hard to even think of giving it up. Like Jack, I'm an Emacs user. I do have to admit, there's although what Artur showed us in Sublime, although you can do a fair amount of that in Emacs, there's a fair amount that you can't do in Emacs, so this is quite impressive, I have to say.
Maybe one point. Of course, there's also C support. So there are packages also for linters of C and also syntax corrections of C. So maybe you want to also try this out for the Gretl project, for the C code of the Gretl project. Yeah. Maybe
done,
Jack.
Alan? You done, Alan? Okay. I've got a few things. First, how would this compare to what you? I mean, I would imagine that you can do pretty much the same thing with Eclipse. That is an editor that is, as far as I know, it's open source, and that's what I hear everybody's using out there. So I mean, Eclipse seems to be the editor of choice for anybody, writing C or C++ or even other languages. So I would imagine that the same set of features you could find in Eclipse as well. And if anybody has experience of Eclipse, maybe it would be nice to see how difficult it is to replicate in Eclipse what you just did for Sublime. That was, I agree with Alan, that was quite impressive. And in fact, that made me think that there's a number of things that I've been wanting forever to have. I mean, when I edit Hansel code, okay, I have a short list here, but one of the things, okay, snippets are really cool. And I think, okay, and the suggestion I'm going to make is that I think that a few of your ideas should be incorporated in Gretl's native editor. I don't know how difficult that would be, especially in the light of the fact that, as you probably all know, my knowledge on how to program GTK stuff is nil, but okay. But okay, one of the things I'd like to have is snippets. Snippets are really nice. I mean, especially for repetitive parts, fragments of codes like the plot environment, loops, if else, and so on. Yeah, there would be function definitions and so on. That would be really helpful. Another thing is that I would when I edit C code, I use alt dot on Emacs all the time. So what does this function do? And I can jump to the function definition. And this is something I'd really like to have in Hansel code. When I edit Hansel code. Now this is not possible with our present Emacs mode for Hansel. This is not possible to do in our built-in editor, but this is something we should definitely consider because it's a lifesaver in many cases. And another thing that I would suggest, and then, okay, I'm just throwing ideas here. If anybody wants to, add their own, okay, fine. Actually, that would be, I'd appreciate that. Is that we could, many of the things you showed us, okay, I'll give it to you. I mean, they are really cool. But many of them could, if not replicated, at least could have a partial substitute in the ability to do actions across open tabs. if we had a quick way to do search or search and replace across open tabs, that would, so for example, to do, okay, search for to do across all open tabs. That's one of the things. And also, you know, identifiers, okay, search for identifiers across all open tabs. This is something that, of course, is not exactly the same thing as you showed us, but for many, in many cases, could come reasonably close to that. So, yeah, okay. Thanks for your presentation. Gave us a lot of nice ideas. Maybe you convince somebody to switch to Sublime. Okay, okay, not me, but okay, I'm an Emacs diehard, but okay, but maybe somebody else.
Let me, Jack, you had a question regarding the Eclipse thing, maybe just briefly. Let me put it so, definitely in the data science community where I'm in now, is nobody uses Eclipse. So might be software developers that they use it, but still even software developers, at least the ones I'm working to, are really, everybody's using either IntelliJ, PyCharm for Python, VS Code for Golang, also for Python, for C, C++. I've never really seen Eclipse. And one point Sven mentioned in the chat is Sublime is very lightweight. It's really fast. Sometimes even VS Code, IntelliJ, they are quite sluggish at some point in time. That is one big advantage I really like. Yeah, and customable, easy to customize. Yeah. That's all I wanted to say.
Oh, there's something that Ryan is saying on the chat. I think I am the only one in data science who uses it. Okay. All right. Okay. I see a raised hand by Luca.
Yeah. Actually, I am an Atom editor user, so an open source, which is a competitor of Sublime, and I am searching a way to try to put this stuff in a Gretl parser and a Gretl CLI interface also in Atom, but I'm not totally able. But it may be a very nice, because there are the same tools, snippets, personalization, and it's open source. Of course, it's very, very slow for some tasks. But actually, it's very flexible. You can, for example, I'm using it for LaTeX, sometimes for Python, and it's quite handy.
Yeah, definitely. At the very beginning, I had so I was really thinking whether to start with Atom or with Sublime. Atom is open source. That was a GitHub project. The issue with Atom is it seems to be dead since Microsoft came up with VS Code and also switched. I think support ends for Atom because VS Code is the new official editor, which Microsoft wants to foster to boost. And VS Code is open source; it's free, and actually, it should be possible to migrate what I have done to VS Code because they use the language server protocol. That is the LSP I mentioned at the beginning. And I'm always thinking, oh, shall I start with it? Yes or not? And I think that is the starting point. If you want to make use, let's say, of what I have done so far, try to migrate it to VS Code. It's a very great editor, really. It's a fantastic editor. Yeah. But a year ago, 1.5 years ago, I wasn't aware of VS Code really, and Atom was too complicated for me to implement those things there.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, it's not that in the sense that they still develop something, but if you Google for, let's say, for the keywords Atom, VS Code, something like this, Microsoft, then you're gonna see some announcement more or less that support or that Atom will not be supported that much anymore, especially also package functionalities coming from from the GitHub and Microsoft side. Yeah, because I mean, they also have scarce resources, and they are saying, why should we support 2 editors? Let's support only one, which does all the things.
That makes sense.
If there is no or other question, let's say, because I forgot to mention something else.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so the reason why I was ready finished so early is because I forget something. But so the last 2 slides actually, which I gonna make available on my GitHub repo, just contain a list of the 10 or 11 very useful packages you might also have a look at, which make the editor full IDE. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Well, thanks, Artur. I think that this was a very nice presentation. Again, like I say, of course, the features that we want. Okay, editors are very much a matter of taste and individual choice, and locking. After if you've been using the same editor for like 15, 20 or more years, I mean, obviously your fingers go by themselves. I mean, you don't have to do anything. And this is one of the reasons why I stick with Emacs, because it's become second nature to me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but
I think that you made a very good point on illustrating what the improvements could be to what we currently offer. Of course, I'm not saying we should implement everything, but this was a very nice thing. So nice to have features. Oh, I see Sven's got a raised hand.
Yeah, I'm not sure how we're doing on time. I mean, it's not very urgent, so I can, if we don't have time, I just...
Well, actually, Geraldo is next, and he should start according to schedule in 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, then forget it. I retract my question. It's not important.
No, but I mean, it's if it's a quick thing. I mean, Geraldo, are you okay if we start your presentation?
No. It's not necessary. It's very nerdy anyway. It doesn't matter. No.
We like that.
Don't worry. I mean, if Sven wants to say something, otherwise I can start my presentation.
Seems like we're fine running. We're fine running 5 minutes late. Shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. So let me propose. Okay. Let's say we start Geraldo's presentation at 20. That leaves time for everybody to just take a short break, or if they want to listen to Sven's nerdy question, that's okay.
I would like to love to listen to his nerdy question.
Then I cannot take a break, so.
Okay, let's all take a break then.
No, it's just an almost internal remark in a sense that, and it's not even a question, I'm sorry. It's just a thing that I pointed out to Artur, who, I mean, I'm using Sublime not like a pro, but I am using it as a text editor, just a regular thing. You know, I was using Site, the SCITE thing, Site or whatever you pronounce it, in the past, but now mostly the Sublime thing. Check, I think you have to mute it. Yeah, okay, sorry. Yeah. So what I discovered, so what I mentioned to Artur is what I discovered after we had this problem with the Gretl C code, the problem, you know, that it's all formatted with Emacs mix of tabs and spaces, right? The thing that makes it kind of hard to edit if you're not, if your editor doesn't
not anymore. Not anymore. It was, yes.
Are you through with all the files? I thought.
Oh, okay. Maybe.
I think I just, recently I stumbled over a couple of files that still had this thing in there. Anyway, so there is a tool, there's an add-in for Sublime that recognizes the Emacs mixture of tabs and spaces, smart indent, and then you can actually look at it with the right indentation. I mean, this is probably not very spectacular in the sense that many other editors will have that as well, but yeah, so you can do it in there. Because for site, I don't know, I wasn't able to find something like that, but maybe I haven't looked hard enough. I don't know.
So Sven, if you're using it for text, what sort of thing are you doing with just text? Just are you doing LaTeX kind of stuff or?
Sometimes, yes. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
that for example, or just also to if you have like CSV files, all that kind of stuff, where it's really handy to have a good text editor for the tiny little details too. Yeah.
Can I make one nerdy comment from the site?
Yeah. Yes, please do.
Please.
So editor wars are really complicated and easy to lose a lot of time over, right? Because people have their preferences and all the rest of it. Plus the added difficulty, of course, with depending on external tooling that may go away. Exhibit A, addon, do you really want to commit to something? Do you want to commit to something that's not open source? One thing that I found a couple of years ago, and I'm with Artur, that LSP as a backend looks pretty decent. So working against backend supporting those is probably worth the investment. But a really tiny thing that I found fantastically worthwhile is editor config. You just drop a file .editor config.
Sorry, Doug, what's it called?
Editor config in one word, and they sit at editorconfig.org, and you just specify declaratively the behavior that you want. For example, no tabs versus spaces. And all the editors that are editor config aware, Emacs being one, then just behave. And you just say, oh, I want spaces to be 2 or 4. And it's in a regex, so it's by file extension. So you could just there define, and then I think that it's up to the editor to kind of say what to do with the .gretl file or GL or whatever various conventions on different OSs. But it's not as much in your face that you tell people use this or this editor. You basically just say we'd really like to have this or that, and it's way more lightweight than I don't know, running Clang format or black over your commits and forcing people to indent a certain style. It's much more subtle and yet consistent, and it does the usual thing that in a project or when you're in a directory, the editor just basically goes up till it finds one. So having it in a Git root of a source code is really slick. I've found that handy, and more editors just do. So with the question on Eclipse, I'm on the same page here. I also think that Eclipse is sort of more dead than alive, and may possibly reborn in what JetBrains does with all their Java based IDEs. And again, I'm with Artur. They're heavy. They take a lot of resources up. There's the people that want the parsing have 50,000 threads running, and snippets are great. Emacs had, of course, more snippets packages than the people on the call right now, so you can use those. But then, same problem we had yesterday. You end up with corner solutions. So with that, editor config is great.
Doug, what editor do you use?
I'm an Emacs person too, and for example, the autocomplete thing, that's good. I switch between I use the same editor, and I desire to have helpful behavior in different languages, and that's not a gimme either. But ESS is great for R. I got really hooked on Emacs with Orgtech back in the day, but these days I write more Markdown rather than straight up LaTeX and have the Markdown translated. But I'm mostly happy with it. The multilingual stuff can still be a challenge, as can the whole black hole of getting into your config and getting carried away. And I try not to do that too much. Sort of Doom Emacs seems to be a good initiative to have a crowdsourced common set of config files that just do the right thing. I've been meaning to look into that, but yeah, I'm happy. And I switched to 27.1 a little while ago to have fancy fonts and bigger tools.
There was somebody a while ago who had started working on an ESS mode for Gretl. But I think
that's good too.
Yeah, that would be very nice to have. But I guess that sort of died at some point. But it would be very nice to revive it. Because I mean, frankly, that's my preferred mode of using R. I mean, I use ESS all the time. Every time I use R.
Right. Yep. And with poly mode, it's nice. You can mix files with different languages, and it mostly behaves well now. It's pretty good. It's pretty rich. And that's just the thing. I mean, just also that what Artur found with Sublime. I mean, it's just customizable. I mean, you make it whatever you want to make it, and it's an operating system. It'll never go away. So it's good.
Okay, I think we've been abusing Geraldo's patience.